Breaking news from Washington, where the U.S. Justice Department has just released the affidavit related to the search warrant at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence earlier this month.
For more on this, we go live now to NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr. Alice, thanks so much for making time. So we finally have our hands on that affidavit released by the U.S. Justice Department. What does it say?
Quite literally have our hands on it. I can show you this document that we've been waiting on. It was a little bit delayed coming out, so we've really only just gotten it in. It's 36 pages long, and much of it is visible, but there are sections that look like this. This is what we were, wondering how much was going to be blacked out, redacted. So there are pieces that look like this. There was also a separate document that was filed right along the same time that explains why so much of it is redacted, and even that looks like this. So this just gives you a visual of the kind of, sensitive information that we're talking about here. And the Justice Department in this document, this is a brief that basically explains why they filed the redactions that they did. They're talking about the fact that there is a significant number of civilian witnesses, that's a quote, that are being relied on for this probable cause affidavit. A reminder, this is the document that was used to justify the search warrant of former President Trump's home. So that's where we are right now. But we're talking about now that this probable cause is not based on a single informant. There are a number of civilian witnesses that the Justice Department wanted to protect as it went about the business of releasing what it could from this affidavit. Now, why are they even releasing anything? Because this is really unusual at the early stage of an investigation to give any information about where this is headed. Well, a judge in this case said that there is such high public interest in, this investigation of a former president, an FBI search of his home, finding a trove of classified documents that legally should have been in the custody of the National Archives. So there is historical important significance to this, and it was worth trying to release whatever was possible. That's why we're seeing anything. Why we're not seeing everything is because of the interest of protecting witnesses. And they're talking in this document about the fact that this is not theoretical, that there have been increased threats against FBI agents, against people who were involved in this search since the search at Mar-a-Lago. So that's establishing that it's important to protect witnesses and law enforcement identities. And then there's also all of the detailed information that really gives, as the Justice Department has called it, a detailed roadmap of where this investigation is headed. It's in the early stages. It's an ongoing criminal investigation. They don't want to have it frustrated. And in fact, they say that in this particular case, they believe that parties involved could make a concerted effort to frustrate this investigation. So that's kind of what we're seeing, what we're not seeing. Some of the details that we do know in the 36-page affidavit, there were 15 boxes that the Trump legal team did turn over to the Justice Department back in January. That was after about a year of negotiations up to that point. And we're just learning in this new document here that the FBI found 184 unique documents bearing classification markings, so classified documents, including 67 documents marked as confidential, 92 marked secret, and 25 marked top secret. So we are talking about the most closely held secrets in the U.S. government.
Wow.
And it says specifically that we're talking about human assets, so people who could, again, potentially be in very serious danger if their identities were revealed. A lot still to go through here, but we're beginning to get a picture of where this Justice Department investigation is headed.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to ask you, Alice. Where is this headed? Now that these reports are out and we've got more information, what does the future look like? And how does all that blacked out information really affect the process going forward?
Right. So again, we've been told by the Justice Department that we are in the very early stages of this investigation. So, we know that there are a lot of witnesses involved. We know there are an awful lot of documents that they're going through. So even having any information, to reiterate, having any information at this point is very unusual. And it's quite likely that this is going to be still months ahead that this investigation is ongoing. Now, former President Trump has been pushing for this to be made public. It's not entirely clear, what his next steps will be in trying to certainly tear down this investigation. He has been calling for the entire affidavit to be released, not, the redaction. So you can expect that we're going to hear complaints about the fact that we're not seeing everything, but we've gone through why that's the case. And certainly his contention is that this is a politically motivated investigation, though he hasn't shown evidence to that point. So expect that we're going to hear, arguments from the former president, but it's going to be quite a while before we get the sort of substantive next step in the investigation in the early stages here.
Okay, lots to follow. NBC's Alice Barr, thanks so much. We appreciate this report.